Hello, and welcome to Tobias Music and another episode of Fine Whiskeys and Fine Guitars. I'm here with my good friend Rich Casciato, the Hall of Famer.
Ooh, I'm a good friend now.
All the way from Des Moines, Iowa.
Yeah.
Comes out to hang out Tobias Music. And we really got something special for you tonight. Rich will be demonstrating the ever-popular Taylor Presentation Series, PS14CE.
Is it presentation or presentation?
I'm going to have to Google that. Is it, what do you say, presentation?
Maybe it depends on your zip code.
Yeah. Here in Downers Grove, we say presentation.
Okay,
series.
then that's what we will do. It's a presentation.
And because it's such a fine guitar, I brought out the good stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a big fan of the Compass Box whiskey makers. They're obviously in Scotland, make some great blended scotches. And this is a limited edition called Magic Cask. My sister-in-law got me this for Christmas.
Do you have to wear a kilt when you drink that?
We could, but that's going to be the next video.
Got it.
So this one, Compass Box, is always known for their robust flavor. And a lot of fruitiness. There's that word again.
There's that word again.
Fruitiness. And
if
this
you
one in
saw our
particular.
814 Builders video, you know where the fruitiness came from.
But it's, I would say it's the perfect blend of sweetness. There's a little tartness, and it's got that spiciness finish. So just a wonderful Scotch. Comes in a really cool box too. So again, this one's Magic Cask from Compass Box. And I've grown to like a lot of their scotches. A little on the pricey side, but we don't mess around here at Tobias Music. And we thought this would be the perfect pairing for the Taylor PS14CE.
Yeah.
It's just almost a museum piece, but the ones we sell, I hope the people are playing them. I don't want them to hang them on the wall and make them look pretty. They're built to be played. Just an outstanding wood combination with the Honduran Rosewood, and of course the Sinker Redwood top.
Stripy Sinker Redwood.
It's got some really nice stripes in there. To me, the Sinker Redwood, and I guess everybody, maybe just like a Scotch would describe it a little differently. To me, with my experience with Sinker Redwood, it seems to add some extra horsepower, some oomph to it. And
not as much as like an Adirondack spruce,
sure.
but it definitely is that next step up on that ramp.
Yeah, and from my experience, as you add that horsepower, like we were talking Adirondack spruce, it starts getting a little chimey. It's a bright sound, projects really well.
And and maybe for some people out there, they don't understand what Sinker Redwood is. Maybe you want to tell them why it's called Sinker.
So that is a redwood log that the tree was felled, it was cut down many generations ago.
Or it fell.
Or fell, naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And 100 years ago, they didn't have the roads and the trucks and stuff like that to truck the logs to the sawmills.
Well,
so
the
they
story,
use the rivers.
Yeah, well, the story goes that in California has a lot of different sorts of laws about logging and stuff like that. And the story that I heard, and maybe put in the comments if you've heard the same story, is that when these trees fall, you're really not allowed to harvest them until they rise to the top. And hence Sinker falling into the Mendocino River and then coming out, and the wood just crystallizes and all the minerals in there, and so it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, and again, I really don't think you're allowed to cut the trees down anymore.
Correct.
But even 100 years ago, as they floated these to the sawmills, some of them sunk. They were big, heavy trees, and everybody's known these trees are down there underneath the river. But it's also my understanding that as people decades ago were trying to get the wood out, the logs out of the river, they really lifted up too much mud and silt into the river stream. And apparently that messed up fish migration.
Yep.
So,
And that's what caused the, hey, let's wait till it rises.
yeah, so it's considered part of the natural habitat. I also heard during the spring season, as the snow's melting in the mountains, the currents are stronger in the river, so some dislodge. I don't know how, at that point, it makes its way to Taylor. But
Of course,
again,
this year, now, they hardly had any snow.
no.
Said no one ever.
Yeah, I think we're talking hundreds of feet of snow. So
I-
maybe more of these logs will pop up.
I read that there was an area, one of these ski resort areas, that they got 438 inches of snow on top of a 200-inch base.
Oh my God.
And it was burying condominiums. Again, put it in the comments, but I saw it on Facebook, so it must be true.
Yeah, I can't even count that high. Of course, I'm
Well,
having
not now.
scotch. But
Anyway, back to stripy redwood.
so I would assume that most guitar builders, if there was an unlimited supply of sinker redwood, that would be the go-to for a guitar top. It makes the perfect top. As mentioned earlier, it does add that little bit of horsepower, but you don't start getting all that sparkling trebles. It's a warm horsepower.
Right. Especially
And-
when you pair it with a back and side.
Yeah,
Like in this case, we're using Honduran Rosewood.
yeah.
So,
So a lot of boom out of that guitar. You're still getting the sparkling treble.
absolutely.
I always put sinker redwood in between a spruce and a cedar.
Yeah.
Spruce, nice stiff wood, sparkling trebles. Cedar, softer wood, nice warm tone. So I think sinker redwood is the best of both worlds. And again, it would be the perfect guitar top for every guitar in the world, but it's just so limited.
Right.
You're not allowed to go get those logs anymore. When one comes up, I don't know if it goes to auction or how it ends up in the Taylor factory.
That might be a cool video to find out. We can talk to the people at Pacific Tone Woods and
Yeah,
See.
just what transpires between the time when the log rises up, because again, you can't go down there and get them anymore. I know that there's that cable show that I used to watch a few years back where they were going pulling up all these old logs, swamps and stuff like that. So sinker wood is a big deal in our industry. We've used a lot of sinker mahogany in the past, and we have a lot of experience. I can tell you it does change the tone.
sure.
So the presentation series is
Back to presentation series.
the top of the line. You could build or order custom guitars that maybe would be a little more expensive, but you're not going to find a finer guitar out there.
Well, we talk about, in Taylor world, we talk about the 814CE being a flagship, and then the 914CE being that next step of let's add a lot of
914, very elegant guitar.
elegance. Yeah, you add a lot of elegance, and then you get to presentation series, and you're like, yeah, here we are. We hit it.
Yeah.
So a lot of different things.
Ornate inlay. I think they use the Powa shell, which is, to me, seems a little more colorful than your standard abalone.
It'll give you a lot more of the greens and blues. It kind of jumps out just a little bit more, and we use it not only along the front all the way around, but we use it on the back. It's you can see it on the sides, and then as you put some photos in, it even goes around the fretboard and goes on up all the way up through.
Up the fingerboard.
It's in the inlay. It's even on the pick guard.
I thought that was a more recent addition a few years ago where they did the little inlay on the wooden pickguard, the Rosewood pickguard. And again, just another touch of class to that.
And the rosette.
Yeah, it does have the beveled armrest, Goto tuners, Grand Auditorium.
Actually, let's talk about that armrest again. This armrest is actually a radius.
The radius armrest, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So, yeah, but and then, of course, our Honduran Rosewood that has just amazing grain and an amazing look.
And I believe on those 4-piece backs,
Yeah,
Simon's
it's a
wedge.
Simon's wedge, and you can Google all about that and see what that really is. But it's the way that they cut that wood, and the way that Andy has figured out a way to get that together, and it gives strength.
Yeah, less prone to cracking.
Less prone to cracking, and it just absolutely gives the tone of that wood a backing. About the best way I can describe it.
Maybe a better way of controlling tone rather than 2 big pieces, basically floating around in there.
Yeah.
Now you got a little more rigid 4-piece back, and again, we're going to see more and more of that as time goes on, not just with Taylor guitars, but with all builders. I think the Simon's or Simmons wedge originated in Spain. I think there's a Spanish builder that was starting to use that, and a lot of the boutique builders are starting to go with it. It certainly isn't they're not using it to use up small pieces of wood. It's more of a process to control the tone on a guitar.
Yeah, it builds the sonic quality of the instrument, and and the other thing that you think about is by having it as a 4-piece. We talked already that it's stronger, which means that we might be able to mess around with the thickness, which again allows the wood to move.
Yeah, more vibration.
Yeah,
more
I mean,
resonant.
it's Physics 101. How is sound made? Well, by something that vibrates. And so the more you can get that to interact with the top and the bridge and the way the strings hit, and this whole, it's just the way, it's the sum of the parts.
Yeah.
The synergy of putting all of these pieces together, and you change one thing and it totally changes everything else. So it's
well thought out. Again, the ultimate wood pairing. I know over the years, and it's all probably dictated by wood supplies, but the PS14 presentation series, I know in Des Moines you guys see presentation, something weird like that, but you've rotated the woods, different wood species for the back, and again you're using the top of the line, the most desirable, most exotic, and some of the more rare woods that available to us. So I think over the years that too has kind of evolved just because of wood supplies.
Sure.
But guaranteed any PS14CE that you get is going to have the top of the line woods that are available at that time.
Well, these are built in limited numbers. I mean, we don't build as many of these as we would a 314CE. Sure. I mean, you get the wood in, and you've got our people in the factory. They're looking at these pieces of wood, and they're like, yep, that's really nice. Oh yeah, here's one for a presentation.
Yeah.
And it's like, yep, and so everything, every piece of this is very thought out.
Yeah, I've always thought of those as kind of your heirloom level guitar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, did that come through the mic? I just got to taste this one more time. That's okay.
Here, what? I think I'll have a taste of my refreshed spring water.
Yeah, so this definitely has a fruity smell. I think I read someplace they describe it as autumn fruit, which would be apples and pears, certainly not oranges or anything. Yeah. But that's some of the notes. That's a term you'll learn not just in guitars, but in whiskey drinking. Has some hints of that, but very tasty. And again, this is a limited edition bottle, but nice. I think it was the perfect pairing for Taylor's showcase guitar. Grand auditorium size, 25.5 scale, 1 3/4 nut. Of course, the ES2 electronics. Comes with Taylor's hard shell case.
And the presentation is also available in a concert size.
Sure.
And a concert size 12 fret.
Yeah.
Those are the 3.
So, but appreciate you coming out, and if you don't mind, I'll sit here and sample this. well, maybe you do a few demos for
Sure,
us.
we can do that.
Do you don't mind?
Sounds fun.
Okay.
And away we
Rich,
go.
thanks so much for coming out. We appreciate it. It was a lot of fun doing these videos. And we have months and months worth of videos when you look at our whiskey stock in the shop. We're well stocked up over there. You're never going to see the same bottle twice.
And
we have a lot of fun here.
Yeah,
And again,
we
it's
do.
for the most part, this is all tips.
That's right, and
Yeah.
we can't do too many of these videos in a row because then Paul is just.
Next video, you're going to see me with sunglasses on and me sitting a little further back. But no, I think fine whiskeys is a perfect match for the fine guitars that
There you
we're
go.
doing. So
Okay.
Thanks for coming out. Let's do some demos on
Thanks
these.
for having me out.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, folks. Thanks
All
for
right.
watching.
Thank you.